Hey guys, it's Combat here, coming at you today with the vasectomy review. This is going to be a little bit of a different type of video, mostly just a kind of informational one slash review. Not really on anything gaming-wise, but I'm 20 years old, so I figured, this might be a good little piece of insight, because, not many young people like me, get vasectomies, so I thought, hey, if you guys are considering getting one, get a little snip, then, hey, maybe you can watch a video from somebody who's, a bit younger, so you might get a better understanding, just at least from the idea of relatability, I'm not some doctor, telling you all the benefits and everything. But yeah, so basically, giving you a little overview in terms of how it works. Basically, you just go to your, primary care physician, your main doctor, where you get your checkups, and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about getting a vasectomy, They might, prod you a little bit, like, oh, why you considering to do this, like, don't you want to have kids, and that whole thing, they might be chill. My doctor already knew the reason why I was getting mine, so he was pretty chill about it. But basically, they schedule a little consult for you once you talk to them about it. You don't really have to convince them too much, but you schedule a little consult with I think it's a urologist. Then make that appointment and such. Then you go there, and all they basically do is play you a little informational video from like the 80s where they're like, oh, after my wife Mary and I had our second kid, we wanted to continue our sex life without, worrying about, getting pregnant. Yeah, very, typical type of VHS video, And it basically goes over the whole procedure and how it works. And the way it actually works is they aren't cutting your nuts off, guys. That all of you guys who think that you're getting your nuts cut off, it's not castration. Castration is when you're getting your nuts chopped off. That's what happens when a dog gets fixed. That is not what a vasectomy is, guys. All right, that's not how that works. Vasectomy is when do a little incision on your nuts. They do anesthetics, that way you don't feel anything, pretty much. And then what they do is they cut a little tube that connects the sperm to the semen, because semen itself is just, it's just the spooge juice, just the white stuff. The actual sperm is the actual stuff that, fertilizes. So what they do is they cut the tube that connects the two, and they make it so that way, the sperm can reach the semen. So basically, you're still able to nut and stuff, but said nut is not fertile. So you still have sexual pleasure and everything, you still do everything you're saying. Nothing has changed, you still got your nuts. The only difference is you're just shooting blanks. That's the only difference there. Basically, after, you watch the video, doctor comes in and he's like, hey, okay, are you sure you want to do this still? And then, you tell them, yes or no, and then tell them yes, and then you basically schedule an appointment. And they give you a list of stuff that you don't want to do before and after. But don't worry, they'll tell you after the procedure again. Basically, there's not really anything you're not allowed to do before the procedure. I think the only thing is about 7 days prior, you don't want to take a specific list of medications. I think the only big one I can recall is ibuprofen. Don't take my word for that, I could be hyperbolizing. But the only big thing is basically making sure you don't eat a whole lot before your surgery, for example, my surgery was in the morning. So what I did was the night before, I had dinner still, but I had dinner around 5 p.m. or something. I just didn't have any snacks or anything later that night. Then when I woke up, just had some toast, something really light, and had some water, I think, and then that was really about it. Oh, I did forget one thing. One thing I want to mention before I forget. Before you go, they'll have you take a little thing of antibiotics they'll prescribe you. They'll have you do it an hour before the procedure or something. Then I went to get my surgery. The big thing they had me do was they did not allow me to drive myself, so I went up with a family member. They drove me up, then went off to do their own thing, and then when I was done, they came and picked me back up. Because the main thing is they don't want you driving after your surgery for a few days, just because they don't want you to strain yourself or anything, right? Yeah, basically, anyway, getting back on topic. Once you get there for your surgery, you go back in the wherever they bring you, your room. They prep everything. You sit down. You just get undressed, and they put a towel over you. My recommendation, of course, and it's gonna be their recommendation, just don't look down. I mean, you're gonna have a towel, so you won't be able to see anything anyway. But you're just gonna make yourself more nervous if you're trying to see what they're doing down there. I just looked at the ceiling, just kind of talking to myself. I'm just thinking about other stuff, But yeah, they give you a little injection down there. You know, it's anesthetic, so you're gonna feel a little pinch, sure, but you know, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna feel like 2 little pinches, and then that's it. The actual surgery part is the least painful part of the procedure. The only painful parts really involved is 2 little pinches with the shots because you're getting them on both sides, and then the like aching kind of feeling afterwards. But we'll get into that. But then, you know, they do the whole procedure. They just kind of open it up down there, cut the tubes down, and then they put a suture in to, you know, get it back up. So it's not really like stitches or anything. I forget what a suture actually is, but it basically, you know, it's where the incision was made. So then they put that in there, and what'll happen is basically it'll either be absorbed into your nuts and it'll just go away, or it'll just fall out. So you don't need to like go back into the doctor's office to have it like removed or anything. But anyway, afterwards, what'll happen is you'll lay there for a little bit, and then, you know, you'll sit up. They'll make sure that you're okay and everything. Before you get to the doctor's office, they'll want to make sure that you bring some like tight underwear in. I misinterpreted it as like being loose, but I planned ahead, so I brought like 4 different pairs of underwear just in case. So I basically what I did was I wore 1 pair of underwear, right? That was a little bit like snug, and the reason they do that is you want to have your shaft positioning upward, so that way like stuff isn't moving around. And that's the same reason why you don't want to drive home yourself, basically just because you don't want to like jostle it around. You don't want to like tear it open or anything, you know? Which is why for like the same day that you got your surgery and then like 2 or 3 days afterwards, you just want to take it easy. You just want to chill out, maybe game for a bit, maybe watch some shows, just kind of chill out, you know? And then after that, like 3 or 4 day period, you're good to go back to work and stuff like that, going back to what you're doing, but just like taking it easy until you feel back to normal, right? Now for me, I got mine done about a month ago, I think, and I'm perfectly back to normal. I'm chilling. I was back to driving and going to work and doing everything normal after about a week of surgery. I didn't have to go back in or anything. I was completely fine. But yeah, for the first few days, what you can expect is some like bleeding. Like I know for me, what I did was I changed my underwear like 2 or 3 times like a day for the first few days, just because like I didn't like my nuts sitting in like, you know, blood for a while. It's not a lot. Like they'll tell you like watch out for an alarming amount of blood, but like don't be surprised if you see some blood. And you'll kind of see what I mean. Like you're not gonna be sitting like in a puddle of it, but like it's gonna stain. Yeah, you'll definitely get some aching. It's not full on painful or anything. Like it's not excruciating. It's more so kind of like aching or like a stinging pain a little bit, but it's not bad. Like it doesn't hurt to go to the bathroom or anything. Like that's all normal. I just like I said, like you want to take it easy. So don't be like running around. Don't be like doing like kick flips and stuff. Like just chill out for the first like 4 days, I'd say. And the other thing is you don't want to go ham on your meat, especially like with another person. I recommend holding off on nutting either by yourself or with another person for like probably like 4 or 5 days, I'd say. It's fine. I would just like if you're into CBT, like maybe hold off on that. You know, like you don't want to crush your balls like immediately after surgery. You know, like you want to be gentle with them, but like you don't need to treat them like they're made out of glass. You know, I'd say kind of treat them like they're made out of cardboard. You know, like yeah, they're not gonna shatter, but you also don't want to bang them around too much because you don't want to put a dent in them. You know, that's probably the best analogy I can think of. Treat your balls like they're a nice Amazon package in a cardboard box. You don't want to damage what's inside, but it's not fragile. It's not like glass. You know, you gotta keep that happy medium. You know. But yeah, that's really about it, honestly. The other thing is they don't want you showering for the first day, but then I believe the second day or the third day, I forget. But a few days after, you're allowed to shower, and in the shower is pretty much where your sutures are gonna fall out. Just because water will help absorb them. I remember I called my doctor's office to ask that because that's what happened to me. And the person over the phone was super helpful. They told me that's like very common. I can't really say anything in terms of like what sutures falling out would look like because mine were absorbed. So if they fall out, I can't really help you there. I cannot prepare you for what that would look like. But for me, what happened was I could very easily see where the incisions were. They just kind of looked like smaller than a penny, you know, like just a kind of little dot, like where the incision was on both sides, you know. And what'll happen is over time they heal. I don't even see them anymore. It's only been like a month or so, and then yeah, and then you're just kind of chilling. That they'll sting and like hurt for like a little bit, but like I think the longest I've really heard of somebody having pain is like maybe 2 weeks at most. But even then, like that's not something like it's not like excruciating pain. Like, you might feel like a little stinging or something like 2 weeks after, but like that's about it. Like, if you're experiencing bleeding after 2 weeks, that's a problem. You need to call your doctor. That's not something you should keep to yourself. And if it's like bleeding a lot, or even a little bit, like if it's bleeding even a little bit after 2 weeks, that's a problem because your sutures should have completely either fallen off or closed. And with that is if they're once the sutures are gone, you should not be bleeding because that's where the incision was. There's no reason to be bleeding after that, you know. Same thing, like if your piss is like a different color than you would expect it to be, or like if your like ejaculate is also kind of messed up. Like, yeah, for the first few days, yeah, like it might be a little bit odd, but like if it's like more than a week and a half or two, especially 2 weeks afterwards, everything should be completely back to normal by that point. Because I was also a little nervous. I felt a little bit of a stinging pain that I wasn't used to about like a week and a half afterwards, and I considered going back, but I gave it about a fair 2 weeks, and at that point, everything was back to normal. One thing I did notice after my surgery at some point was that I felt these little lumps under my testicles that they weren't really there before, but they weren't super obvious. Like, they weren't like freaking like 3-inch tumors. Like, no, they're very minor. They just kind of felt difference in like feeling them. You know what I mean? Like, if I put my fingers under there and I'm like kind of like touching them a little bit, I can feel the difference, but no actual pain or anything like that. Completely asymptomatic. That I thought nothing of it, but I decided to do some research just because, you know, this video is informative. So I want to shine some light on it for you guys as well as myself. And I believe it is sperm granuloma, and that is going to be the closest I get to pronouncing that correctly. And from what I've gathered, sperm granuloma is a lump of leaked sperm that's going to go along the side of the testicle, so it's still disconnected, but it's just building up there a tiny bit, but not a whole lot, you know. It's something where you don't have to worry about your balls freaking busting open like a balloon filled with water. Like, no, it's just chilling. It's something that I would recommend telling to your doctor next time you go for a checkup. But if you're not in pain, you're just chilling, you know? Like me, I'm not going back to my doctor for this because I'm fine. I'm not in pain. It's been over a month since, it's almost been the 2-month mark for me at this point of my audio recording. But I'm feeling completely fine. So I'm just chilling. But yeah, it's extremely common. 40% of people who get a vasectomy will get sperm granula, and it can be painful for some people. And if it is painful, definitely tell your doctor, of course, and it can be easily removed with surgery. So there's nothing to worry about, but just something I want to include in the video. But yeah, I just want to make this video just to inform you guys. It's not castration. You're literally back to normal in like 2 weeks, give or take. And it's also something where if you want to look at it from the side of why you're getting it done, I'm not gonna give my personal reason because it's personal, but the main thing is if you don't feel ready for having kids, or you've had enough kids, or for some reason you might have genetics that you don't want to pass on to kids, or for whatever reason, if you feel like not having kids at all or at this given moment, because the main thing about a vasectomy is you can reverse it. Now, they will tell you that not every vasectomy can be reversed, and that's true, because in the event that something happens during surgery where it prevents the tubes from being reconnected, then yeah, that's going to be at a loss. But I don't remember what statistic they threw at me, but most cases of a vasectomy can be reversed at some point. That if you're just like young, I'd say honestly, like the age I got mine at 20 is a very fair age. I think it's very responsible to get a vasectomy because with how expensive things are, it's pretty reasonable to not want to have a kid at this age in the world that we live in right now. You know, given how much danger there is out there and expensive things, it's not really a great place to raise a child at our age, given financial stress. That if you want to get a vasectomy and then wait until you're like in your 30s and like where you're in like a more stable position to have kids, you can get it reversed. And I think that's pretty fair. I mean, that's something where a lot of women will have their eggs frozen and then wait to have them later. You know, I think it's a kind of a similar boat of taking control of your life, you know, and saying like, hey, I want to have kids, but I do not want to risk having kids right now for my sake and, you know, my potential child's sake, you know. I mean, yeah, it's not guaranteed, you know, it's nothing's guaranteed, you know, like, yeah. But the one thing is about it is about 2 months after your vasectomy, you will send in a semen sample and they can actually check to see if you have any sperm left in your ejaculate. so that way they can actually confirm if you're sterile or not, which, yeah, I have yet to do yet. I still have the little vial they gave me, but it hasn't been 2 months yet. But yeah, that's another good thing. Like, if you just don't want to have kids, period, or if you don't want to have sexual pleasure, but you're afraid of, that risk, then it's a very responsible decision. And another thing is down to cost. I cannot say to everyone's insurance, but my insurance covered pretty much all of it, which I was extremely shocked, because insurance is the bitch, man. Insurance sucks a lot of the time. And I expected them to deny this, I expected them to say, like, no, it's not medically necessary, but apparently, yeah, they covered pretty much all of it. I think I only had to pay like $50 out of pocket, which for a surgery, that is insane. I mean, I know people whose prescriptions cost like a minimum of $100, like a month or something like that. So, I mean, that's a steal. Now, again, I cannot say to everyone's insurance, but the insurance I have is not like some big budget insurance. Like, it's a fairly common insurance that I have here where I'm from, in the United States. But yeah, cost effective wise, I think the highest cost, like out of pocket, is maybe $1,000, which, yeah, that is expensive if you're paying out of pocket. But yeah, like even just like getting something like Medicare, I think they probably cover like at least some portion of it. Now again, I could very well just be straight up wrong. I don't know. But playing devil's advocate here, even if it's $1,000, like it's something where you get it and it's done. Like you get it and then it's over. There are very, 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 very few people who need to get like a procedure done again after this, that even for $1,000, I think saving up for it and then just going for it, like once you have the money saved up, I think that's well worth it. Because I mean, one, you're saving money on condoms in the long run or other forms of birth control, and two, it's a way higher percentage. I mean, yeah, sure, condoms and vasectomies, you can both say that are 99%. At the end of the day, you gotta look at like actual statistics, because like, condoms, yeah, they have their research, but you're looking at it from like a point of view of, yes, the condom itself may be 99%, but what are the chances that you misuse it, or you actually, like, somebody puts it on wrong? You have to factor in the idea that human error is in there. Whereas with the vasectomy, it's a surgery. Yes, there's human error in a procedure, of course, but the people who are doing that procedure are far more skilled than somebody is likely going to be with a condom. At least that's my opinion, though. But yeah, in terms of a review, I got to give it like a 9.5 out of 10. The only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because, yeah, it's not perfect. Claiming it's perfect is dumb. It's not perfect. Of course not. It hurts a little bit. It can be a little inconvenient to take off work for the first week or so. But all being said, yeah, I absolutely recommend it. I don't think everybody should have it forced upon them or anything, but yeah, if you're considering getting one, then absolutely. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informational. Combat out. See ya.